All right, so here we go. Hello, all you beautiful, wonderful, amazing tea people. Today, deep dive into black teas. Now, what does that mean? We're going to do the 5 teas, not the mystery tea. I'm going to leave that as a mystery, but we're doing the 5 teas that were in this month's subscription box, which is the March box. So what are the 5 teas? Now, these are not in order, right? These are not in order. But what are in the 5? So what I did with the subscription box was I did like 10 grams of each of these teas. So they were like black tea A, black tea B, black tea C, whatever. They're not in the same order. But what we've got right here is this one right here is the 2020 Wui. This is not released yet. There's some people that already want it, but it will be released in the next couple of days, probably on Sunday. This one here is a really interesting tea. We're going to go into it. This is the 12-year-old Mingjian, super cheap for 12 years old tea that is the Four Seasons black tea, 12 years old. So an aged black tea. This is the Lishan High Mountain Black. And then like I just go like this and all I'm smelling is just the fruity flavor from this tea. This here is, of course, the classic Ruby 18. You can't have a black Taiwanese black tea without the Ruby 18, of course. And then this one over here is the crap. So this is the bad tea. So right here, this is the bad tea. And I kept that in sort of as a thing so people can try it out and be like, okay, what's the black tea? Okay, these are all, okay, these are fine, you know, whatever. What does a bad black tea taste like? So that's a bad black tea. What that bad black tea is it's a tea that is, so in the lower elevation areas that create Oriental beauty or Eastern beauty, what happens is they pick the tops off, but they're still viable leaves. And so after they pick the tops off to make the Eastern beauty, they'll come through and chop it down with the machine cutting, and then they'll make a black tea out of that. So that's what this is, and it's not very good. But I got it, I overpaid for it, and it's sitting, I think I've talked about it a couple of times anyways, it's sitting in the warehouse, not very much of it, but enough that maybe in 25 years, my children will be able to make money off of that. That'll be my inheritance to them. Anyways, these are the 5 teas. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to drink these teas, I'm going to talk about these teas, and we are going to compare and contrast. Talk about what the difference between high elevation, low elevation, cultivar, quality level, all these different types of things. Now, there are some teas that I should have put in here. Of course, there's the honey fragrance black tea that should go in here as well. But I put that in last month's subscription box. I'm not going to put it two back-to-back subscription boxes. That's not right. There's the Sanxia black tea, which I just happen to be sold out of right now. I got to go visit them and buy some more. So just happen to be sold out of it. You know, forgive me. I have to be sold out of that tea for right now. So I didn't put it in as well. There are some other high mounts. There's the Alishan Black and other things like that. This is by no means a comprehensive list of all the possible teas that you could have. There's like the charcoal roasted Ruby 18 that could go in here as well. All those different teas that I could be putting in here. But alas, that's not what it is. So yes, that's what's going on. That's what we're going to do today. I've got you know, the Instagram people can see it, but the YouTube people can't. I got all the teas lined up. So as I go through the teas, I'm going to show you what they look like. And hopefully I'll be able to actually let you guys understand, just by looking at the teas, the difference between a high quality and a low quality tea. Everything else about black teas, there's not really much you can do, right? Everything else about the black teas, you know, they all kind of look the same, right? So they all kind of look the same. You can't just look at a black tea and know whether it's high quality or low quality, kind of, sort of. You can make guesses. Anyways, let's put it that way. You can make guesses. But we're going to go into that, and that's what we're going to cover today. Now, before we get started, a touch of little history. Traditionally, black tea in China was viewed as the bad tea. You didn't want a black tea. Black teas were not considered very, very good. And they're relatively recent compared to the other styles of tea. So you're looking at sort of the 18th century that time period is when the black tea started. Again, I'm not a tea historian. There's, I think it's called Teacup Media or Tea History Media. There's a podcast that does all of these things. If you're really interested in the history, you can jump in there. But makes total sense that black tea would have been exported from China. So black tea was exported from China, right? So black tea gets exported from China. It goes all, that's the export stuff. The good stuff, the green teas and the delicate oolongs and all those different types of things stayed in China, right? They stayed in China, and they weren't exported. They were status drinks, very similar to what it is today in many ways. So we're talking about black teas, even in Taiwan, right? Black tea is not really viewed as somebody says, what's your favorite tea? Nobody says my favorite tea is black tea, where they would say my favorite tea is like a high mountain oolong or something like that. They would say that, but they don't say my favorite tea is a black tea. They might say my favorite tea is nai cha, which is, well, you can make it okay, but the traditional, the boba, which don't say boba, it literally means large breasts. Like don't do that. Pearl milk tea or milk tea, right? So those types of things, that's made with black tea. So people will say that's my favorite, but they will not say black tea is my favorite in Taiwan, and generally speaking in Asia. They just won't, because the status of a black tea is, that's the stuff we ship off the export market. That's the cheap stuff. That's the stuff you make in the summertime. You don't make black tea in the spring. You don't make black tea in the wintertime. Come on, that's the cheap crap you make in the summertime to stick on boats and for English people to drink with lots of milk. Like that. Again, that's sort of the history. Now, what I've got right here, I've got all the black teas. What makes a black tea? 100% oxidization. I don't know how far. If anybody has questions about the processing of black tea, we can go into it. Right now, I'm just sort of looking at the tasting notes. But if you have questions about black tea processing and all that type of stuff, then let me know about it, and we'll get into that. But we're just going to sort of look at the teas and sort of look at the difference between low elevation, higher elevation, what a really strong cultivar, Ruby 18, does to a black tea, and how to tell the difference between a high quality tea and a low quality tea. And age, right? We got this one too, which is an extremely rare 12-year-old black tea. So this one here is not released yet, but this is an extremely rare tea. You don't get a lot of aged black teas. Usually they're consumed right away. Well, why don't we just, we'll do the, why don't we just go like this? We'll just do it like this. Okay, why don't we do that? Okay, first tea. The 2020 Wu-Yi. So this is from Ming Jin. This is also going to be on the site soon. It's a relatively cheaper tea. Actually, I should buy a bunch more of this tea because it's pretty cheap. Now, when you're looking at this tea, you can sort of see this. Hopefully, it gets into. Is it getting? Yeah, sort of. It's getting in there. You can sort of see. When you're looking at this tea, it is just a classically produced black tea. Just a classically produced black tea, right? It's super black. It's leaf. You can see maybe a couple stems in there. Not very many stems. It looks like it's actually been picked through, with the stems have been taken out. And what you're looking for in this taste, you're looking for the taste of the cultivar, right? Because very, very few teas, I think this is one of the only Wu-Yi black teas I've ever had, but this is a 3-year-old Wu-Yi black tea. And I think I did this on a live stream a little while ago. And what was interesting about this tea is that you can actually taste that when it was freshly produced, it wasn't very good, right? Now, as you can see, as I'm brewing these teas, don't brew your teas like this. Right, this is for tasting purposes only. If you want to taste, obviously brew them like this, but this is for tasting purposes only. All right, if you're going to do this the Gong Fu style or various other ways, things like that. Now, what's fun about this is because this is the Wu-Yi cultivar, right? It's the Wu-Yi cultivar. You can get sort of that there's the hint of the white floral Wu-Yi in this. All right, so there's a hint of it, and it's in there. And I quite like it. I quite enjoy that hint of that cultivar. But you can also tell that it was probably produced on a rainy day, because in the background there is a little bit of a, in Chinese you say ka ka, which means like a catch. But after 3 years after the processing, it's actually gotten really smooth and really nice. And for the next 2 years, it's going to actually develop and it's smooth and it's nice, and there's no real bitterness nor astringency or anything like that. It's just smoothed right out. It's just aged the right amount of time to make this tea really, really quite nice. All right. Now, it's a lower elevation tea. So how can you tell it's a lower elevation tea? Well, you know what? Let's jump into this right now. This is a higher elevation tea. Now, we did this actually last live stream. We talked about in red oolongs the difference between elevation. With black teas, it's exactly the same. Right? That was red oolongs, black teas, sort of the same. So this is the Lishan High Mountain Black. And it's lighter, it's higher in the palate, it's more subtle. At the same time, there's a strength of fruitiness. Now, this tea is like an extremely strong mint, but it's not mint, it's like red fruit mixed with black tea. So when you drink this tea, you're just like, whoa, like, here is high mountain black tea flavor, and it just straight up the nose, just boom, just like that. And it's really quite amazing. It really is just how strong and fast and you get that flavor from this tea. But there's not much base to it. It's not very grounded. All right, so the flavor is like from here up. It just goes straight up. Whereas with the lower elevation teas, right here, sort of the middle of your palate, if you're doing 3D, like the south area, it's mostly down, doesn't do as much up. And that's sort of the way I sort of see the higher elevation versus the lower elevation teas. I see them as subtleness and top your palate up, flowing flavors that are going up like this, whereas the lower elevation teas are more grounded and they are maybe deeper. Now, what you might get with that is more earthy flavors, more bitterness or astringency. Up here, you might get like a sharp astringency, the sort of the negative side, but you're not getting too much of the earthiness on the higher elevation stuff. And again, that's not a value judgment. That's just how I'm sort of viewing the teas and how I'm placing them in my own mind. Everybody is going to have a different way of tasting and feeling of all these different things. It's going to be completely different every time. Okay, so there we go. Sorry, that was. For some reason, that went out of focus. Hope that didn't last long. Anyways, so that's the difference between these two teas. Now, let's go over to these two. Now, this is the 12-year-old, Four Seasons. And this is the Sun Moon Ruby 18. Now, both of these teas are extraordinarily strong for what they do. Now, if you're doing Taiwanese black teas, you gotta have the Ruby 18, right? You gotta have the Ruby 18 for Taiwanese black teas. You just have to. There's just no, that's what it is. And this is, it's just, you have Ruby 18 once, you recognize it for the rest of your life. You just know what it is, right? So the question is, any particular reason why Ruby 18 Black is so popular? Well, Mr. Gnome, I think that is a value-laden question. Well, of course it's so popular because it's so good. Now, there's Ruby 18, when it first came out, and for the last couple of years, not so much right now, but before, it certainly was that case. Ruby 18 was a love it or leave it tea. And there were a lot of people, sort of the old school tea nerds, that left it. They did not like it. They did not enjoy it. And now it's just sort of become just a part of the landscape, right? It's just a part of the landscape. It's just popular, right? People want to try it. People enjoy it. They go back to it. But when it first came out, there was a real sort of push against it because it's so different than anything else. Like Ruby 18 cultivar it's not like an Asamaka, it's not like a Chin Chin, it's a Taiwanese, 100% in every way, Taiwanese flavor taste of tea, in the sense that it came from Taiwan, right? Nowhere else has that taste. And so why it's popular, there's a couple different reasons. The taste is, some people really enjoy it, although some people don't. But the second one is, and especially for people who are first getting into tea, it's one of the first teas they go, oh, I've had this before. Is that Ruby 18? Because the taste is so recognizable, right? You can't fake it. You can't go around Ruby 18. You can't say Ruby 18 is anything else, right? People drink it and they go, oh, that's Ruby 18. You have it in a green tea. Oh, that's Ruby 18. You have it in a black tea, Ruby 18. White tea, Ruby 18, right? I think I just sold out of one of the Ruby 18 whites, but there's another Ruby 18. There's a white Ruby 18 white on the site right now. And, it's like, it's Ruby 18. It's the mint. Whereas this one is much more of the fruit, much more of the spice, the black tea. But it's such a recognizable flavor, right? And that's why I think it really is, truly, that's why I think it's so popular. It's just because, well, one for new people. One for new people, sorry, there. And the second one is that if you like it, if you have a feeling for it, if you want to get it, right, then it's really easy to find and get. But yeah, that's something that for me is sorry, I just got a phone call. I had to go down. If on Instagram it's looking a little choppy. If there's something wrong with it, just let me know if there's something going on in Instagram. Now, over here for this tea, this is the 12-year-old black, right? So this is the 12-year-old black. And this 12-year-old black tea is unabashedly old, right? So this tea has a lot in common with the, right? So this tea has a lot in common actually with the 1970s oolong, right? Sorry, I just got a little bit of it in my mouth there. So this has a lot in common with the 1970s oolong, right? So this it tastes like aged tea, right? It tastes like aged tea. And what does aged tea taste like? Bookshelf, richness. There's, the taste of age. And if you've ever had an aged tea, you know what I'm talking about. You know what, the taste of age is. And that's sort of what this tea has, right? So this tea just has that taste of age. And it's extremely cheap. And it tastes pretty good, especially if you've never had aged tea before. This tea is so cheap that it's perfect to get an idea of aged teas and to get an idea whether you want to venture further into the aged tea world, right? Do you want to keep going into the aged tea world? Or do you want to back up, hang back, and not go into the aged tea world? This is sort of that perfect tea to get you there. Oh, and I haven't been showing you the tea leaves. I apologize for that. So here, see, this is what I was talking about before. You can't really tell all that much from the actual tea leaves. Now take a look between these two, right? So here, this is the 2022 Wui. This one here is the 2011 Four Seasons, right? So let's see if I can get it into focus a little more. It's not getting into focus. That's okay. Anyways, these guys, you can see them here. They don't actually look that different, right? If you're just going to look at them, you're not really going to be able to tell the difference. Now check out this. Now this is the 2022 High Mountain Lishan. This is the High Mountain Lishan. And hopefully you can see the different color. So you can sort of see the different colors there. Now this tea, you can see the stems, you can see the different colors, you can see the different, and the smell. I mean, it's just like, you smell it and you're just like, oh, there it is, of course. Right, it's quite amazing. But it looks very, very different, right? And it looks very, very different because it's been manipulated in a different way. These are more tender leaves when they're made. It's very complicated, but you can see a little bit of the golden threads in there as well. Now, we're going to get to this soon. This is the Ruby 18. You can see it looks basically exactly the same as the other ones, as the first two. It doesn't have any different colors in there. And then check out this one. Hopefully you can see. Now, when you're looking at this one, you can't really see in person. It's very, very easy to tell. But how do you tell this is a low quality tea? Well, first you get stuff like this. You can see this. These are just stems, right? They're just broken up stems that are in there. Second, you get big leaves like this that are discolored. So they're not quite black. They're a little bit brown. You can see they're a little bit brown in there, right? So you can see they're a little bit brown. And, you know, and then you get, anyways, you take a look at it and you're just like, wow, that's low quality, right? You get stuff like this, right? Which is the skin of the branches, the bark of the branches. There we go. The bark of the branch is actually peeling off, right? Now, what does a lower quality tea taste like? Right? So what does a lower quality tea taste like? Right? What does it taste like? Well, if all of these have positive characteristics, this has none. It tastes flat. It has bitterness and astringency. In the background, in the I can't hear you. Oh, see, that's the thing. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get out of the live stream and go back in again. 1 second. And discard video. And then I'm just going to jump in and do another live stream. So somebody phone me. And what I'll do is I'll actually upload this video from the YouTube onto the Instagram. Anyway, so there we go. That should be working to clear it up again. But anyways, the point is, when you're looking at the lower quality teas have nothing good going for them. Like they just don't. Now, this actual tea, this right here. So let me know if it's better now, because you're saying that you couldn't hear me before. But what I'll do is this. I'll just get rid of it and I'll upload the YouTube version of it. If you've never had a good tea before, this is still okay. It's not offensive in the same way that, you know, an oversteeped Lipton tea bag is offensive. It's offensive to me because I'm so lucky I get to drink all these really good teas all the time. It's offensive. It's offensive to me, right? And not only that, it's better now. Okay, great. It's offensive to me because I bought it and I lost the bet. Remember, what am I? I am a tea gambler, right? Like a tea farmer is a tea gambler in some sense. Much longer term, I'm like an immediate, I buy it, I take it, I got to resell it. I'm a tea gambler. And I lost the gamble. I lost the gamble on this, unfortunately. I lost it. I lost the gamble. But, you know, what are you going to do? You win some, you lose some. And that one was only a couple of $100. So I won't cry too hard about it. And hopefully my children in 20 years will be like, thank you so much for saving this tea. You know, we bought a house with the... No, that won't happen. But anyways, when you're looking at the quality of teas, you're looking at stems, you're looking at miscoloration, you're looking at what the taste of the teas, all these various things. And it's actually pretty easy to tell once you've had good tea. Right? Once you've had good tea, it really isn't that hard to tell the difference between the different teas. It really isn't. You know, I wish it was more prevalent. I wish, especially in the West, that people could have better access to better teas. Because if people had better access to better teas that were sustainably produced and grown in a way, all the whatever catchphrases that people are using right now. But I just mean good tea. It'd be so hard for people just to go back to the bad stuff. It would be. It really would be. Right? And this tea right here is not actually all that bad. I mean, it's just like a mediocre black tea. Now, I'm going to chase it with this because this is like the smack in the face of Taiwanese high mountain black. So here we go. Now, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show you just quickly. I think I put it up here. I was looking and looking and looking at how to produce black tea. I was looking and looking and looking, right? And I just didn't take very many pictures. I just didn't take very many pictures. And it's kind of sad that I didn't take very many pictures. You know, it's sad to me that I didn't do that. But you can see here, and this is on the YouTube, on on the YouTube right now. One of the most amazing, sweetest, beautiful smells in all of tea processing is black tea matcha. So black tea matcha. Now, this is the Instagram. This is actually from me from years ago. I used to take, like when they do the big thing where they roll the black tea, right? So how to make black tea, you got to oxidize it 100%. To oxidize it 100%, you have to manipulate it, right? You have to manipulate the leaves 100%, right? So, well, not 100%. You have to manipulate the leaves so you can oxidize it to 100%. And that means putting in one of those gentle rollers. And what I'm showing you on the screen on the YouTube and the Facebook over here is what it actually looks like. This matcha, this unfinished tea. That's the color of it. And the smell of it is beautiful. I do not think there is a better smell, for my palate anyways, in any of the tea making process. Now, there's tons of amazing smells, right? There's the wilting phase. There's this, there's that, there's this, all of these amazing, beautiful aspects of making tea that their smells are amazing, right? When you put it in the bamboo roller, so good. But unfinished black tea, it is so sweet. It is so beautiful. It is just amazing. And I apologize for not having done more pictures of it. Right? I was looking through my phone. I was looking through everything, trying to find, because I know I've taken like literally hundreds of pictures, slow motion videos. I guess I just must have put them on the stories and then they were lost. But I'll try and do more of that type of processing stuff this year when I'm going and making tea and visiting all the gardens starting in a week or two. That much better than high mountain oolong processing? Yeah, well, I mean, that much better. It's all good. I prefer the black tea the most when it's like the really, 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 really good black tea. All right, the really, really good black tea. But it's not like the other stuff's bad. It's just my own personal preference, right? That's just what I prefer. But yes, the high mountain processing, especially in the fall, I love that rich buttery flavor and smell that comes from it. Absolutely adore it. But yes, so all of that is gorgeous and amazing. But from the picture that you can see down here, it really is. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite aspects of it. And when you drink it, it actually smells like it actually tastes like the smell. But it only lasts like a short period of time. It's only like an hour where you take it and you can brew it and you can actually get those same flavor characteristics. But then it's just boom, gone like that. And in fact, it was quite interesting in the past. There was a period of time that was like right before I really started heavily into the tea biz, but they would take oolong matcha. So when the greener tea was like this, and they would take it and put it in the freezer and lock in the buttery, sweet matcha flavor. They just lock it right in. And then, when special people came, when special guests came, they would take it out and brew it. And it would just be just like fresh. I had it a couple times. It was amazing. But once you have it a couple times, you're like, oh, okay. It's just like literally just melting a butter and then just drinking the butter, right? And after you've had it a couple times, you're like, oh yeah, it's okay. But the first time you have it, you're like, wow, it's like going to one of those really fancy, expensive restaurants, and you're like, wow. I remember hearing once somebody said, oh, why you like fancy restaurants so much is because when we cook, about 80% of what you consume is butter. Right? That's what a fancy restaurant is. 80% of it, and that's what the taste of matcha is like. It's like 80% butter, just butter. Oh, so good. But anyways, so that's this. This was the March box, and sort of just to go through it again, you've got the 2020 Wu, which is really nice. It's got just the right amount of age, and it's got in the background just that beautiful like little touch of floral. In this, then we got the High Mountain Lishan. We've got the tea. Over here, we've got the classic, the Ruby 18. And then this is the 12-year-old Four Seasons, which was a surprise, especially for the price. It's quite good. But I'm quite happy with all of these teas. Well, not this one, but anyways, these are nice teas. These two teas will be on the site probably by the weekend, I'm hoping. And but yeah, this is the March box. And if you have any questions about the March box or any of the stuff we've covered, throw it in the questions. Get in touch. But yeah, that's sort of an introduction to Taiwanese black teas. That should be able to give you a good idea of what Taiwanese black teas are all about. I hope. But like I said, there's more. There's more Taiwanese black teas. There's the honey fragrance black, and you might get a very rare roasted, charcoal roasted black tea, something like that. But that sort of gives you an idea. Now, I haven't gone into the difference between Taiwanese black teas and sort of Chinese black teas, but in general, I would say that the Taiwanese black teas are softer, sweeter, fruitier, things like that. Whereas in China, they tend to be stronger, there's more smoked, more stronger bitterness and astringency flavors and things like this, just stronger. Taiwanese blacks are softer, rounder, sweeter, fruitier, touch more floral and things like that. But there we go. All right, so I'm going to download this and put it up on the Instagram. And yeah, so there we go. Any last questions about anything that I covered in this? I'm going to go to the post office. Thank you, as always, to anybody who has bought any tea. We're looking, it's been a very cold spring so far, so the pomelo flowers haven't come out yet, but I'm hoping within the next 7 to 10 days, we'll get started with that. But there's going to be a lot of fun stuff coming up in the next little while for all of the processing. I really want to go to Sanxia tomorrow. I don't know whether I'm going to make it. I got to talk with my family, but we'll just see how it goes. But anyways, thank you for watching. Oxidization, as always, talked about when black teas. How is it measured when processing the tea? Pomelo, coming soon. Coming soon. 10 days is the estimate for when that'll be ready and be able to ship out. Well, 14 days. Oxidation level is always talked about with black tea. How is that measured when processing the tea? There is absolutely no way of measuring oxidization in any way, shape, or form other than experience and knowing when it is too low and too high. There's certain ways to do it in the sense of you can look at the leaves. The leaves might be, the finished leaves might have a little bit of green or gray in them, right? So you might know that, it's not 100% oxidized. But if you're looking at a high mountain, lower temperature oxidization, then you'd be like, well, you can't get more than that, so that's 100% oxidized, right? The lower elevations, dark black, pitch black, that's 100% oxidized. But you can over-oxidize teas as well. And when you over-oxidize teas, then you're getting into some sour flavors, some flavors that are rotten, for lack of a better word, right? So that's over-oxidizing the teas. But there is no firm and fast way of saying, is the tea oxidized? 100%. There is no firm and fast way of doing that. No. And, I wish there was. I wish there was a better way to do it. I wish there was a way to say, okay, this is this and this is that, and it's sort of a black and white, and it's a this or that or right or wrong or whatever. There is no way. There's literally no way at all. So I wish there's a better answer to that. But it's experience, and the people who do this type of stuff, they just know. They just know. And if you drink enough tea, then you know as well. Then you know as well when something's been over-oxidized. or effectively oxidized and all that type of stuff. But yeah, sorry, that's the best I got for that answer. There's no real way of really looking at that. There's certainly nothing you can go in, like I know in coffee, for example, they have all these fancy machines where you can look at the oxidation or the water content and different things like that. Nothing like that. There's absolutely nothing like that in tea. Nothing, because it depends on the thickness of the stem, whether there is a stem, how much it's been rolled, if it's been rolled, all these different things. You just can't tell. It's taking it, scrunching it up, sticking it in your nose, dropping it, watching it how it lands, and then squinting your eyes a little bit and nodding to your friend and going, or that's it. that's all you can do. That's all you can do when you're looking at oxidation levels. Depends on the temperature, the weather, the cultivar, the pick, all that stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, I gotta go. Good question. Last chance for any other questions before we sign off. I'm going to phone the person who phoned me. Very sorry, Tai. If she doesn't watch this stuff anyways. Who else would phone me, right? There's that thing where they do those studies, and when a woman gets married, then her social group gets larger, and when a man gets married, his social group gets smaller. I'm a living example of that. But anyways, I gotta go. As always, thank you for watching. Thank everybody for your support. Any more questions about this, just let me know, and we'll see you next live stream.